Yo, what's up, everyone? It is your favorite, most inconsistent Black Clover content creator, Jack O's. You either know or you don't. Thank you guys for being here. Of course, as soon as I started, a bunch of construction happens outside, but that's neither here nor there. There's been a couple of things going on as to why I'm posting less. One of them is a little bit of burnout. Number two is I think one of the main things is that I'm getting a lot of messages with and it's not to rip on anyone at all. But I just want you guys to understand where I'm coming from, right? So it's like when people kind of go a little less than halfway through a theory video that you make, and then they disagree with a certain part, and it's not even disagreeing. Even the ones that agree will spit their own theory, which happens to just be the theory that I put in the video. They just didn't watch the whole thing, and so it's my understanding that my videos are just too long. So I'm going to try and shorten it up, and this is a suggestion made by WK, who was seen in the last video on the live. Just to make it a lot more digestible and to kind of save us all the trouble of I don't want to watch a 30-minute video, Jack. Just say what you got to say. So I'm going to shorten these up as much as I can, and I'll probably just have to make successive videos to just elaborate on the idea. And so we're going to start with the Order of the Golden Dawn. So we have three characters that kind of rule our governing system in Black Clover, and that's Julius, Damnatio, and Augustus Kira. Now, we know that Augustus Kira and Julius are really the two kings of the Clover Kingdom. Julius seeming to be the more militant king, while Augustus is more of the face of the kingdom. And then Damnatio is keeping the balance within the kingdom and the governing system. Now, these are very interesting characters, all three of them. Even Augustus, and I know you're thinking Augustus is so late. Yeah, Augustus is the worst character in the series. I'm not don't get me wrong, but I came across something really interesting, just as far as this whole concept. So there is what is called the Order of the Golden Dawn, and this was established by Aleister Crowley way back in the day. I think it was the 1800s, early 1800s. And this goes into some other topics that we'll be getting into. I'm hoping to be able to collaborate with WK because he's the one who kind of found this this really cool aspect of relating to this topic. So I'm not going to go fully in depth right now, of course, and I want to keep the video short, like I said. But in a few of my videos, I've referenced how the Tree of Life is split into four worlds, and it's just called the four worlds of the Sephirot. And they compose of fire, water, air, and earth. And these are not just elements, but they are stages of coming to being. Whereas I believe it's air is the highest, the most intangible, to earth and fire, where they start to become more tangible. So we have the elves, and they have the apostles of Sephirot. And they were able to essentially unlock the underworld enough to let Zagrid come through. They did definitely have the power to do so if they wanted to, but Zagrid used it to his own end, I feel like. But yeah, anyway. So if we place them on the air, as far as the four worlds, they are the least tangible. And this goes back to when I say that the Sephirot seems to contain more intangible ideas and magic, whereas these devils that we see have more tangible, very physical ideas that are seen in the physical world. So you have spiritual versus very physical. And they collide in the world of the living, right on the line at Malkut and Nemat, right? So then I got to thinking, okay, well, we kind of have guys like Lumiere, who has this four-leaf clover, who has light magic just like Lick did, and they seem to bond. And it was very odd how the elves kind of got this power over everything, essentially, right? Whereas humans seemed to, it was kind of luck based. But then I started reading about the Order of the Golden Dawn, and it's very interesting. And the Order of the Golden Dawn really comprises a lot of lore into this one cult, really. And the most prominent thing is from the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, and Klippa. But I'm going to touch on 3 right now, and then we'll keep going. So, number 1, we already know that Julius, don't know, but we have a lot of theories out there talking about how Julius is at least in cahoots with Osteroth. And Osteroth, we know, is the ruler of Gagzeshablacheta. I'm not saying that right, of course. Okay, so what this means is that if he's working with Osteroth, he maybe made a contract, but then we have to see that Julius clearly doesn't have any markings on him whatsoever, insinuating that there is no actual contract with another devil. But it got me thinking, like, well, what is going on then? Because we have a time devil, which has to be Osteroth, because the 3 devils that rule the underworld, or really the pillars of the underworld, I don't want to say rule because that's not what they said, and that's not the case at all. The 3 kings of hell are Osteroth, Lucifer, and Lucifero Rofocal. Excuse me. And Belial, or Beelzebub, whichever name you want to call him. Those are the 3. And we already have space and gravity, and time is Osteroth. It's just power deduction at this point, okay? Could be wrong in the end, but we have to go with what we have in the story. So with that one-time devil being left out, it's obviously Osteroth. So if there's no contract, there's got to be correspondence. And what I mean by that is we have to see where Osteroth lies on the Klippot and then correspond that to what it is on the Sephirot, and that's Chesed. And in this case, I believe Chesed has Julius as its leader, or Julius sits on the throne of Chesed for the humans. And I'll get into more of that in just a little bit. I just kind of want to place these guys first and then explain what I'm thinking. So we have Julius at Chesed, and then right across we have Gevurah. And I believe that Donatio is the one that rules over Gevurah, which is, I believe, aligns with Asmodeus. It does. And that'll come a little later. But this is very telling of their personalities and their characters and their capacity in the story, because Gevurah is actually the emanation of justice, or excuse me, not justice, but emanation of judgment, which is very telling of Donatio, of his character and his magic. Okay, so and to place the last one, Augustus would be Keter, and this is not because he's all powerful, because he's got light magic or anything. He's not actually Keter. In the Order of the Golden Dawn, they believe in climbing the ladder, and some of this is referred to as Jacob's ladder, but it really depends on your source. But they believe that everyone starts at Malkut, and the goal is to climb up this ladder to get to Yesod, and they call them modes. So we live in Malkut mode. While we want to ascend and get to Yesod, go to Neztak, to Ha, to Tiferet, to Chesed, to Gevurah, to Chokmah, to Bina, and then finally ascend to Keter, where we've reached the pinnacle of spirituality and become closest to God, right? So that's what they believe. And the thing is that they don't believe that Keter is an actual physical thing or person. They believe it's more of an idea, something you must understand. So this isn't, in this case, I believe Augustus Kira is just the face of that idea. And the Golden Dawn as a group is just, it's to formulate this idea, to push this sort of agenda within our government. Like I said, there's a lot more to it, but let's get into what some of this could mean. So this one, we're going to talk about the Fourth Emanation, and this is Chesed. Excuse me, let me get my life together here. So I'll just read it to you guys, okay? So it says the Fourth Emanation, he is the, and they refer to them as like he and she. Don't worry about sex, it's more about the idea and the concept. So the Fourth Emanation, he is the hand that embraces the healing tears brought on by forgiven sins. Each kindness repaid in kind. His force pulls humanity together, allowing peace to exist between us. This is the power to look inside the hearts of those around us and see that we are truly alike. Our needs for love and kindness is an essential part of our existence and transcends all other potential differences we might have. I'm going to skip that next part because that's more of if you are referring to the body and meditation, the embrace of the blue orb. That's all meditation sort of stuff. So, Chesed is the very center of the pillar of mercy, defining its core characteristic, forming an extreme opposite to its female counterpart, Gevurah. The two arms of the tree extend in opposite directions. Hesed pulls tight so that Gevurah cannot push away. This wrestling match cannot be won by either side, yet the struggle itself is meaningful because it is the struggle that defines our morality. So this is almost directly describing Julius and who he is. Julius forgave William, one of the most blatant atrocities in the series. He is a traitor to not only his own people, but to his own race. And Julius was able to find it within himself to allow forgiveness for William and still give him that kindness again, even though Julius showed him kindness to begin with, right? So we've never seen Julius really extend his anger, except for like the three Eye of the Midnight Suns that he bodied. But this really does describe Julius, and it also describes the push and pull that seems to be happening between him and Damnatio, which we'll go into right now. So this is the fifth emanation where I believe Damnatio is ruling over, and it says here that she's the hand that separates, the rule of law that brings order to the world. She assesses what is just, letting us overcome our adversaries both from outside and within. Hers is the power to separate, to cleave apart a unified whole and leave the component pieces. It's a trait that demands as much fear as it does respect, because with it comes inherent violence. She does this without enmity, because it's an act that must be committed to create balance. And this is perfectly Damnatio. We see that he does bring order to the system. Now, while the system when we saw it, it may have seemed chaotic, he was only going off of the people's best interest versus, the government, right? In order for the government to succeed, the people must align with the government. If they had let Asta just go, the people would have been like, no, and possibly even revolted. We already see there's unrest. This was the introduction to Damnatio, was introducing the unrest within the kingdom already. So had they let Asta run about, even though he did nothing wrong, he was still representative of devils. And the people knew what was going on with Asta, so he couldn't just let it slide. And even though his tone might have been somewhat evil, it was still just. And even him condemning Marie, not saying it's right to condemn children, but I'm saying that Marie was possessed by an elf who was trying to kill other humans. And he did use Marie more so as the gambling chip, because if it was another knight, then the other knight would have been more altruistic possibly, and would have said, hey, just let them kill me so that you can keep going. While Marie is just a child, and Asta can never let that happen, even if Marie decided to go with that sort of altruism. So he forced that out of Asta to go into his demon form, and then this allows Marie to live, right? So in this case, Damnatio was doing the best that he could to keep things in order, and he needs to stay partial. He cannot take sides. So that's why we don't have feeling with Damnatio. He doesn't align either which way. He has to stay as just as possible. So that's why I believe he would reign over Gevurah. I mean, it only makes sense to me. So that's kind of where I want to end. But again, we're getting these characters on the human side that can totally fall on the Sephirot. And I think we're getting introduced to four worlds where we have elves that have Apostle Sephirot. We might have humans that are apostles of Sephirot as well, but on one of the other three worlds. Remember, there are four worlds. and then we have dwarves, and then we might have a different race altogether. So we just have to keep our eyes and ears open for what's going on. But this is where I'm going to stop. Hopefully it's short enough. I hope you watched the whole way through. But you let me know what you think of this in the comment section below. There will probably more than likely be another video talking about the Order of the Golden Dawn and more characters that fall in line with this and the purpose of it all. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought, or on Twitter. I will see you guys when I see you guys. Have a great weekend. And it's been Jackals to Go. You either know or you don't.